Elizabeth Tabor. Does that name ring a bell? Perhaps you would recognize my name if I take out the Elizabeth and put in the baby Doe. If that name is still unfamiliar, think hard about the Silver Queen. As humiliating as it is to admit, I was once the richest woman in the West. Unfortunately, my fortune was ripped away from me and left me in ruins. I wish I could be rich once again. The magnificent home, the gorgeous clothes, the expensive jewelry. God, that was a life. I never had to lift a finger. The phrase I always heard in my youth, too beautiful to work, finally came true. I lived life happily and with great fortune with my second husband, Mr. Horace Tabor, for a little more than a decade, until the wretched decision the U.S. Treasury made. They lowered the value of silver and caused the whole silver empire to come crashing down in the silver crash of 1893. From my understanding, the crash occurred after the repeal of the Sherman Silver Purchase Act, an act that required the U.S. government to purchase millions of ounces of silver per year. It was a vicious cycle that caused those in the West to swim in fortune and those in the East to lose money at an unsettling rate. I suppose it was in everyone's best interest in the long shot, but the effects of the repeal were immediate to those in the West who relied heavily on the money mines brought in. With the Tabor mine chain being silver-based, we relied heavily on the fortune and value of silver, hence why it especially affected us. It seemed like we went from high-class society to the dirty streets overnight. We were forced to move out of our nice mansion in Denver to a small, inexpensive cottage. We never lost hope that our fortune would return, though, and my husband was working up until the day of his death, trying to return a small portion of the fortune. I decided to move from Denver, a wretched place full of elitists who stuck their noses up at me due to my inappropriate marriage and my improper ways, to Leadville, Colorado, a place where I was isolated and away from all the arrogant ridicule after my darling husband's death. I settled in a small cabin near the Matchless Mine. The Matchless Mine was a silver mine owned by my husband. He invested much of his money, a little more than $1,400 if I remember correctly, into the purchase of the mine. Despite all the trouble he went through, he was happy to even call it his. It was worth it, though, as he had several good ores and brought great fortune to us throughout the years. Like I said earlier, though, the silver crash of 1893 took a lot of things away, including our mine money, and indirectly the loss of my husband. Despite all of this, I still choose to remain in a small cabin near my past. I just hope that someday, karma returns what I've given it.